I had an urge to use at 20 days sober this time. And I'll never forget it. I was walking with my wife at the time. We were leaving my apartment, getting on the elevator, and I said, honey, if we walk out that door, I'm going to get high.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
Got a new episode dropping every Monday and Thursday. Please come check it out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
Kevin, welcome to the Hopeaholics
Yes.
Podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Very
Thank you for having
well-groomed
me.
man.
Yeah,
I'm
great
just saying,
hair.
His hair is done. His beard is done very well. He's shaved in here. Great head.
Wow, thank you
good
so
for you,
much.
man. Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
of course.
That means a lot
Yeah.
to a man, you know?
Yeah.
Coming in on 40.
Yeah.
Close to
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Damn.
Man, I wish I could go back there.
Right, that was a good time.
Coming in on 51 here.
Fuck, I'm coming in on. I'm
Already
coming in
hit-
on bad.
60?
No, don't even say it out loud, bro.
Age ain't nothing but a number,
Whoa.
fellas.
Me and Shane ain't
Yeah,
got
say that
much
to your
left.
back when
Yeah.
you fucking can't get out of bed or you pull a groin getting off the toilet.
Or
Or you lose cavity.
or the Spartan race on Saturday that freaking Shane's like going to cheat in. He's going to
I'm
cheat.
going to be with Jonathan. on the
Jonathan's running.
No, I don't think he is.
What?
I think he's injured.
Yeah, Jonathan will take it easy.
He's doing the race though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is
Have
he?
you ever done
I
a
mean-
Spartan race?
Never did a Spartan. No.
He'll
5K.
walk.
Oh,
He's
damn.
a
I just heard your accent big time right there.
That New
When-
York accent?
Yeah, when you said Spartan.
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 We say,
Well, how long have you lived in Florida? 'Cause
3
you-
years.
Okay, so you previously born and raised in New York?
Yeah, born and raised in Long Island, New York.
Okay.
Then went to school upstate New York, went to college, and then did the move into Manhattan right after.
Ooh,
working.
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you normally are the one that is used to doing interviews, so you are in the hot seat.
I love it.
So we're going to get,
deep in there.
yeah.
In the
Deep
beat.
in there? How many fingers?
Wait, you guys want to talk about me?
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Exactly.
What do you want to know now?
Siblings?
Yeah. So I grew up in New York. I grew up in Long Island, New York. I had 2 older brothers. I was the youngest of 3 boys.
Nice.
Our dog was a male as well, my
Nice.
poor mother. And we very disciplined household. My father was very good with instilling
What's your nationality?
Irish, Austrian, Polish, to my knowledge.
I was just thinking possibly Italian because New York, but that's just where my head goes.
Stereotype.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
There's
I'm
a
half.
big, there's a
I'm half.
humongous Irish community though.
Yeah.
That's where my wife's parents are from, New York, the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yeah.
The BX.
Yep. Her dad is from the Irish side, and her mom was on the other side of the tracks
Nice.
in the nicer neighborhood on the Italian side.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's a mixed bag in New York.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
you get a little of
You get-
everything.
Little of- Exactly.
Little of
You think
everything.
mob, mafia,
Yeah,
Italian,
And I'm half.
Brooklyn,
So immediately I
Go there.
go there.
biased.
I know.
Bias.
It's
I'm
all in
biased,
us.
too.
It's all in us. But okay, so you're the baby.
I'm the baby. My upbringing was great. My father was, we all had to play a sport, right? So it was football, wrestling, lacrosse every year. Me and all my brothers, we all, we had to stay busy. My parents were very good, making sure we were making friends, doing the right thing, not hanging out, wandering after school and getting into trouble. And, with that, it was a very competitive nature. My father had played semi-pro football, and I mean, at a very young age, I remember I have to be better than my father. I have to be the standout athlete. I have to be the one my father brags about. My oldest brother made the team. My middle brother made the team, started. I had to, and I did.
Star of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to be the franchise.
Exactly. And I did a pretty good job. Like I went all county
Nice.
in football, And I went on to play football at Albany, University
Nice.
of Albany. Played there 2 years. And I remember this is where in high school I got the recognition. And that for me, so we talk about with addicts and alcoholics. So I'm a little coming up on 7 years sober. I'm 6.5, a little more than 6.5 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge.
We talk about the symptoms
Yeah,
of the disease of alcoholism and addiction, and whether it's the drug, whether it's gambling, whether it's just
Food.
notoriety.
Yeah.
And
Attention.
I got a lot of attention in high school playing sports. And I remember showing up to football. It was a Division I football program. Everyone was bigger than I was. Everyone was faster than I was. And I remember just wanting no part because I knew they were bigger than me. They were faster than me. And I just like, I got to get out of this. Like, how can I get out of this? The first day of camp, summer camp, going into freshman year. And so fast forward, I play for 2 years. I tear my rotator cuff, and it was sports my entire life. And then I get to college, I hurt myself, my shoulder, and this was my big escape
Yeah.
from the expectations that I had built up in my head. And I remember for me, it was an excuse to tell my father I didn't want to play football anymore. And, you know, I was always smoking weed. I was always drinking. I was always partying on the weekends with friends and whatnot. So this is one of the first times I'd gotten introduced to painkillers. And it was Percocets.
But prior to that, nothing to excess, like no legal trouble yet, no big kind of incidents that happened that sparked your like, ooh, maybe I am drinking or smoking a little too much than my peers.
No.
Prior to this.
No,
just normal young kid,
Yeah.
like enjoying the, I guess,
Seasons.
youth.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while we would get hammered
Sure.
before school. You know, it wasn't anything that was a must every single day where it was overly concerning.
Right.
And everyone else, my peers, were all doing it. I mean, my 2 older brothers paved the way. Too,
Sure.
So I was always, we're all 2 years apart. So
Okay,
I would always
close.
go, you know, when I was a sophomore, my middle brother was a senior. So I would just go and meet up with his friends and drink with them, and they'd have beer or whatever, smoke weed here and there. But it wasn't anything concerning.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting into legal trouble. I was always able to dodge bullets. I did get into trouble, but not legal trouble at 16. I went to Six Flags in New Jersey. It was my brother's prom weekend, and they all went to Six Flags. I got caught smoking weed there near the lethal weapon ride, behind the lethal weapon ride. And all of these, you know, the security officers, they had police officers there as well. We all got, I don't even want to call it arrested. We got brought into the main office. They called all of our parents.
Right.
And then an adult who my brother was 18 was able to just go there and get us out. And, you know, they told our parents.
Right.
You know, well, I mean, I was grounded for a month. But regardless,
Yeah.
it was nothing too major.
Yeah.
How did your dad feel about that, though, being such a disciplined guy? Was he pissed?
My dad was pissed, but my dad got himself into trouble when he was young. Like, he
Yeah,
ended
yeah,
up
yeah.
telling me, like, oh, yeah, I used to grow marijuana. I used to
good. Oh, nice.
smoke this and that. So he was just like, cut the shit out.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom was, oh, my God.
My
He's
son?
going to start doing heroin one day. It's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
We're sending him to rehab. We got to send him to rehab. And then obviously they would come up with a habit. Let's just ground him for a month, right?
Yeah.
So that was the extent of it.
Sure.
I mean, my parents they kept an eye on it, but then I had a cousin who started dabbling in pills and oxys and going down that route. So my mom, that was her sister's son.
Yeah.
Right? So she became very knowledgeable about addiction, what it could do, what opiates could do, treatment, going to specific 12-step programs.
Sure.
So she always had that in the back of her head. And I'm so grateful for it. Then I'm like, this lady's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, what? She's going overboard here,
Yeah.
you know? So fast forward to college. I get hurt, and I don't have to play anymore. I don't have to play sports anymore. I was scholarship to play at Albany, and I got to keep the scholarship because I got hurt playing. And the Percocet, for me, turned into, to back up a little bit, do you guys know about the triangle of self-obsession?
Yeah.
So for me, when I was young, it's, your needs and your wants. Inside the house, your needs, right? Your necessities in life, family relationships, just even water, food, etc. And then as you get older, you then start to discover your wants outside of the household. Could be drugs, could be drinking, could be women, men, could be whatever it is, or just even outside life, adrenaline rush. And then, as you continue to get a little more older, you start to learn limits, and needs are more important than wants, right? Wants are just wants. I can relate to the triangle of self-obsession in the sense that I was never able to understand limits and learn limits out there. And everything was just a need to me. And for the with drugs and alcohol, this was my first experience when I got hurt and I got put on Percocet, because I felt all that fear. I felt all that resentment, that anger presently in the moment. But the fear obviously is projecting down the road for the future.
Sure.
So when I started doing painkillers, it took away that fear.
Yeah.
It turned it into like gratitude.
Yeah.
And it took away the anger. It took away the resentment. Everyone I resented. Everyone was out for me.
Right.
And I hated everyone. And you did this to me. You wronged me. You wronged me. You wronged. And that was not the case because I wasn't taking accountability and looking at my part.
Right.
So the painkillers did that for me. The opiates did that for me. So it progressed pretty quickly. And of course, a doctor is just going to shut you down after a couple months, right? FDA, everything is, in the system and whatnot. So what do? I start having to resort to who knows who. And then it jumps to Oxycontin. Who can get oxys, blah, 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 whatever. So then it becomes a very expensive habit at that point. They're $1 a milligram, I think, at the time, or whatever, or 50 cents a milligram, which is still a lot. I was doing 80 milligram Oxycontin, so it was $40 to $80 per pill. I was doing multiple pills a day. Wow. Now, this is in college, too.
Yeah.
So I have to come up with ways to make money. I'm out at a bar one night. I'm hanging out with everyone. It's a Saturday night. And I start talking to this dude at the bar. He is the manager of my school bookstore. School bookstores make a killing off of the students. The markup on those books are insane. The margins are pretty significant. So, of course, I'm complaining about the prices of books and how they rip everyone off. Asking him, trying to get the source. Like, what website do you guys use? What? And, of course, my wheels are turning. I'm going to fucking set up shop by myself. And I know all the athletes already. There's probably, 1,500 student athletes, and I know them from going to the gym and lacrosse teams, softball, baseball teams. He was like, listen, they actually store all these books in an off-site location warehouse, and they don't take inventory. So when there is an exchange, a transaction, when you buy it or even return it to get some cash back at the end of the semester, they don't track it, and they don't keep inventory in the warehouse. He's like, what if that door was open one day and there was a specific time it was going to be open? I'm like, done. Let's do it. I know the people. Let's figure this all out. So him and I have a follow-up meeting, and we talk about it. We decide I wanted to do 10 books first. I wanted to do a small amount with some athletes, some good friends of mine, and we do 10 books, and textbooks only, economics books, statistics books, high-value books. And it was about 100.
You need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we did 10 books, about $100 a book. We sold the deal was cash half off. So if it was a $200 textbook, $100 cash, done. So 10, about $1,000. They buy them all. They return them at the end of the semester. Nothing is tracked. No one gets in trouble. It was a success. Him and I split 50-50, 500 and 500. All right, great. Next semester, let's do 100 books. Then the next year, we're doing quarter classes, semesters, winter, quarter class, spring semester, and then summer class. And we did it for about 2.5 years. It built up to $200,000 cash a year in college.
Each?
No. Total.
So 100K each.
Beautiful.
But
That's
then
beautiful. I stole chocolate. Sorry, I'm going to
No.
interject.
Yeah, no, I've been talking for a while.
I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing. I was chocolate almonds. Stolen grade 9 trip. They couldn't go on the grade 9 trip because they were in a lockbox, and I picked it. Every week I wouldn't sell them, but I ate them. Me and my brother and friends, we ate them all.
Why?
Yeah, grade 9, man. Hopefully, yeah.
Are you making a?
So 100.
I never told anybody before.
A confession
First
right
time,
here?
Yes, there was a confession right there.
Did you feel better?
Not really.
No?
And you didn't even make any money.
I blame those
Terrible
chocolates
story.
for my fucking
Terrible
teeth now.
story.
Sorry.
So 100K.
Yeah, 100K each.
each.
Wow, man.
Well, so I wouldn't tell him how much we were actually making, and I would give him, like 60,000, and then I would take 140. Yeah, I started kind of 60,
Shifting
40.
a little bit. Yeah.
So we do that for 2.5 years. The last time I went for the run, I grabbed 10 books, put them in my truck. I pulled my Jeep around, put 10 books in, went in to grab the second 10, and the GM of the school bookstore and 2 police officers are standing right there.
Oh.
And I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? And she was like, so this is where our books have been going for the past 2.5 years. She goes, we have taken such a hit. There have been so many jobs lost because of you. And how long have you been doing this for? How much? Blah, 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 blah. I didn't say anything. I just, denied it and then just didn't talk. I was handcuffed. I was put in the back of the police car. They bring me down to the precinct, downtown Albany. It's brutal down there. So I'm brought there. I'm handcuffed to in the precinct to the metal ring while they do my fingerprinting, mugshot. Now, it was 11:45 a.m. in the morning. I think it was it was a Thursday or something, or a Friday. And I was doing I'll just say it now, I don't even care. I was doing an internship with ESPN that summer. And it was someone I know got me my foot in the door.
Sure.
Went through the whole interview process, and I made it to the last round. And my family member called me and said, Kevin, they're going to call you at 12 o'clock, Human Resources. They just want to make sure you have a pulse. Just all you have to do is just answer the phone and answer a couple questions. That's it. So it's 11:45 a.m. and I'm like, holy shit, I have this call in 15 minutes. I turn, and the manipulation, the disease of addiction and alcoholism, the manipulation, I turned to the police officer and I was like, sir, please listen. Like, I know I fucked up. Can we curse on here?
Yeah.
I know I fucked up. I promise you will not regret this decision. I have a call coming in for an internship. He ended up letting me do it. He said, listen, I'm going to handcuff one hand to the ring here. The other one I'll let free. I'll go get your phone. You can do the call, but you're not moving. You're doing it right there. And don't make me regret this decision. I said, absolutely. So this lady calls me. I'm fucking on the phone with Human Resources. She's like, so, what do you like to do in your spare time? I'm like, oh, I like to play sports, hang out with and inmates are being booked behind me, walking by, and I'm sitting there, on the phone with Human Resources. If they only knew where I was and what I was doing. But very long story, even longer to make it a little shorter here. I end up getting bailed out. I leave the precinct.
By your parents?
My father.
Yeah.
Don't fucking tell your mother. Yeah. Yeah, one of those. So I get bailed out. I go home, and about a week later, I get a letter from the school. You've been terminated from the university, scholarship taken away, et cetera, et cetera. I get an attorney. I did not have the arraignment yet. And when I went to the attorney, I brought him all the paperwork. I told him everything that had happened. And I was like, and they kicked me out of school and they took away the scholarship. And he was like, wait a minute, you're not represented by any other attorneys, right? I said, no, just you. He's like, well, you ever hear of innocent until proven guilty? You haven't been found guilty in the court of law. So you're technically innocent right now. So for them to kick you out of school.
Oh, right.
That's.
Yeah.
He's like, I have to look at your contract, your university contract that you signed. But like with sports team, usually they have a clause in there where it says
because they got smarter because they messed up in the beginning days.
Yeah, exactly.
And people would get arrested, and then they let them go, or they were stuck with them. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So what happened? Contract good?
So the contract was in my favor. He said, do you want me to call the dean or do you want to try to just go through with this and hit him with a lawsuit? I said, no. I'll call the dean and let's act like this just never happened. Sure enough, they drop all charges against me.
Wow.
And I skate by. And I share this story for the listeners. If you're getting high right now and think you can do something like that, I lucked out. Like that will 99.9% of the time that will never happen. I just kept dodging bullets that's the way it was. I was dodging bullets. I had
You and Donald Trump.
I was zero consequences for anything.
Yeah.
I had no consequences. And this sounds very privileged, and I will say my father was constantly getting me out of trouble. And it's a shitty. It's tough to admit that because it sounds so privileged, but
No, it doesn't. It sounds like a good dad that wants to make sure that his kid doesn't possibly maybe fall through the same mistake that he possibly ended up skating by and getting through maybe the harder way. So it sounds like a good father. I would assume I'm not a parent. You guys all are. You're gonna go to any lengths for one of your kids, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you do. Everybody's different, though.
Yeah.
Some people want their children to learn the valuable lesson of consequences. My parents did everything they could do until they couldn't do it anymore.
Right. So everybody's like degree to what that is going to be different for each individual.
Yep.
So I don't look at it like
I'm bailing my kids out. I'm just letting everybody, the world know. I'm bailing my kids out, and I've taught my kids, if anything ever happens to you, you just tell them, I want a lawyer. And you say nothing else. Nothing else. There's nothing else to say. You have the right to remain silent. You hear that, Shane?
Oh, yeah.
You have, even when they tell you you're facing 15 years in prison. If you don't talk now, it's going to get worse.
Be honest now.
I just want everybody to know those are lies. They're lying to you.
Well, if you watched enough TV or movies, it only gets clear as day.
It only gets better from there. And then when you tell, that's a bad thing.
You fucked.
You are fucked.
You fucked.
Don't tell on yourself either. Like if you're in the wrong, don't be like, well, I did it.
It feels so easy to do it in
well, of
the
course,
moment.
because you're
you're scared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're scared, and they are trained to do that.
Yes.
They're very good. They're very good at that. Their job. That's their job, right? And they're highly skilled at that. But it's not necessary. 25 years doesn't mean 25 years. 15 years doesn't mean 15.
But on the flip side, it's like how many people actually break and confess? A ton.
Most.
And that's why they do it.
A lot.
Is because eventually the fear is so grandiose and your mind starts playing tricks on you. You're like, fuck it. And you end up opening up your mouth when you shouldn't have. And then now you're facing whatever it is that is on the other
So many people
side of
confess.
that. Yeah.
They confess. I did it.
Then they shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
your lawyer has nothing. No. That's why you just. I'm not talking to you at all without a lawyer present. Period. And then you're done. And they can't talk to you after that. If they continue to talk to you, just say lawyer again. That's all they have to do.
So then your dad gets you out and you finish school?
Yeah. So, where I was going with the, my father kind of helping, dodging bullets for me, essentially. I wish he let one of them hit me. When you said before, I'm bailing you
That's
out.
hindsight, though.
It is.
Because eventually it caught up to you, clearly.
It did, but I lost a lot of different things.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm like,
Oh, no, you're good.
I lost a lot more though. That wasn't it. That was the very beginning.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
That was the very beginning. I
Yeah,
was like,
that was your first real bullet.
It went on.
That was a big
years.
bullet, though, man.
Huge bullet.
Like, dude, that's a pretty big crime, to be honest
Yeah,
with
it
you.
is.
That's
Especially with,
that's
like,
grand
university.
larceny, is what.
It's a $500,000. Well, they couldn't link all.
Yeah,
the books to me.
exactly.
Yeah.
They had me
Oh.
with $10.
Oh, they had you at 10.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is, they never took them out of my car. They left them in my car.
So did you sell them?
I did. I did. I sold them like a month later. Yeah. Like, anyone need bucks?
I have
F off.
10 more. I love that shit, though.
So it got worse and worse. I end up graduating college. I don't know how, in 4 years. And I then get a job at the Discovery Channel. And I'm working for the Discovery Channel.
What was your major?
I was a communications
Okay.
major in college.
Okay.
And I worked in advertising sales. So the ESPN internship was with advertising
Okay.
sales. And I started working at Discovery Channel. And I had great health insurance. So with great health insurance, I learned that
Comes really good doctors.
it comes really good doctors, and they had not merged.
Yeah, they hadn't done that
They
yet.
hadn't merged the database together yet. So it was paper prescriptions.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
they were grouped together: CVS, Walgreens,
Right,
Mom
right,
and
right.
Pop, New York. Take a ferry to Hoboken, New Jersey, CVS, Walgreens, Mom and Pop. And I would just rotate through all of them. And I'd have these doctors that I'd go to, and I'd have to pay cash at some because insurance wouldn't keep paying for all these pills. February 2008, I get a letter home. I'm living, I think I'm living in the city or something. I'm not living home. And I get a letter from the federal government, the FDA, with the gold stamp on it, whatever that, the emblem. My father opened it, and it was made out to me. He knew it wasn't something right, so he opened it, and it said that I had filled 2,000 pills in 1 month. And if I continued to do it, I was on a list. I was put on a list. If I continued to do it, they were going to come and prosecute me and come after me. So then that closed that avenue with the doctor shopping, and
Yeah.
I stopped doing doctor shopping. Fast forward
It's cool that you got a letter, though.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I've heard of this letter before.
Yeah,
You know,
my
working
first time.
in the industry.
That's awesome.
I've heard of this letter before.
Quit
Yeah.
selling drugs or quit doing all the drugs. They give you. That was pretty cool.
Well, I mean,
I
is
lucked
it,
out.
Like, is it what's the crime? Doctor shopping is a crime?
Yeah, I was lying to all these doctors, and I'm lying to a medical professional to get a
get-
controlled substance.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Taking 1 pill a day. That's why you're
but you
prescribed
could have been
30
in that
pills.
Pain, though. You could have been in that pain. I
No.
mean, they can't call.
Not that much pain,
No.
buddy.
You never know. You never
No.
know. You never know.
That's why they say like your prescribed amount.
Yeah.
That's why you can't go back to your doctor.
My bottle
within
always
30
said,
days.
I'm dyslexic though, so my bottle always said, if it said take 2 pills every 4 hours, mine said 4 pills every 2 hours.
same. Same.
That's wild. 2,000 pills
Dyslexic.
though.
So then I resort to the street.
Yeah.
And now there's no book selling at this point, right? There's no doctor shopping at this point. And I went to, I started getting it from the street. That now I'm taking cash advances out on credit cards. Now I have no money. I got a job at AMC Networks. So then I went from Discovery Channel to AMC Networks. This is probably 2011, 2012 at this point. And I have no money. I'm in debt. I'm in 6 figures worth of debt. I'm living with a girl. I move out. I'm bouncing around. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And it was just that obsessive, compulsive, unmanageable lifestyle. And I was miserable. Mm-hmm. I couldn't live with opiates, and I couldn't live without them. I couldn't stop. I constantly I wanted to stop so bad. Every day I'd have to wake up and come up with like $300 to support my habit. And I would come up with just different ways. And these creative ways. And
it's a lot of money when you add it times 365, because that's what most people don't realize. This is 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
$9,000 a month.
No Christmas.
Crazy.
No Christmas is off. Nothing. No weekends. This is every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
That's why I love addicts, though, man. Like,
The hustle
if
is real.
anybody could work as hard as I worked when I was a meth addict on the streets, like, bro, I didn't sleep for like days. So, and I was hustling, trying to get that next whatever. And then once I got maybe a pipe full and I was smoking it, then it was off to like, taking my car apart.
Selling parts and
Having no idea what I'm doing. I would just, I don't give me a fucking like a Makita and a bit, and just, dude, I would just start taking the dash apart on my car. And then I'd fucking realize I'd start coming down, and I'd be like, fuck, I got to put this thing back together. And I wouldn't remember all the pieces I've taken apart. Then I'd put it back together, and I'd have all these extra pieces. And I used to say, they all
creative.
Yeah.
Very creative.
hell yeah.
Were you going to pawn shops?
No, I mean, yes, if I mostly stolen stuff.
Yeah.
I would take my own personal car apart, and I learned how to steal cars by taking my own car apart.
It's actually very intelligent.
So that was my get down for a while.
You become pretty crafty.
Yeah, to say the least.
Crafty is actually the word. It's $9,000 a day just to be well. A month.
That only lasted a couple months. That wasn't like a year
Yeah.
long. I could not keep up with that. Absolutely not. So 2013, complete breakdown. I get intervention by my family, and I go away to rehab. And it was I had been to meetings here and there before.
Sure.
I'd known,
That the
self-help meetings
Yeah.
that I've gone to.
Yep.
But never really gave it a shot. So I go away, and then I'm really introduced to self-help meetings, and I decide to give it a go. I stay there for 30 days. After 30 days, I transition into self-help living and whatever, sober living.
Yeah, sober living.
I guess I could say it.
Yeah.
Sober living, and I took a short-term leave of absence from work, went to meetings, did a 90 and 90, got a sponsor, went through step work, got a commitment at my home group. Everyone got to know me. I started going to like sober dances. I started those that they do. And it was amazing. I remember one of the best feelings I ever had during that time. They're like, yeah. I said, I need a commitment. My sponsor said, I have to come over here and ask for a commitment. I need a commitment. And they're like, great, you're going to be a greeter. I'm like, fucking greeter? I'm like, don't you know who I am? Like, I can run the meeting with 30 days,
Yeah.
So they make me a greeter, and I say hello. I'm like, all right, I'm going to show them. I'm saying hello to everyone. I'm like, I'm not going to miss anyone. Like, hey, what's up? Like everyone gets to know you. Now my home group had like 400 people in it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
you know PG here?
Yeah.
AG there.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. It's like that size.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so one of the best feelings was the second week I went back, and someone walked in and they were like, hey, Kevin, you're back here again this week. And just because this dude knew my name, I felt a part of. And the feeling was so fulfilling that it was what I was trying to achieve the entire time I was taking drugs, just that to feel fulfilled, feel like I belong.
Yeah.
And I got that from self-help meetings, not taking a mood or a mind-altering substance. So that was interesting for me. And I continued to, get involved. So then I start to help other people and take other people through the step work. And at about 3.5 years, I'm working out in the gym. I tore my rotator cuff again. I have to go in for surgery. I go in for surgery. I get out of surgery. I start taking painkillers, and I go back right off to the races again.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to highlight what went wrong. Like if people are listening to this show and you're in sobriety and it's like, well, you know, it sounds like Kevin was doing the right thing there for a while and then he just had surgery. No, it doesn't have. If you're spiritually fit,
Yeah.
you can do anything.
Yeah.
Agree.
You can get through anything if you're spiritually fit. And part of the program I was working, I had to make amends. You know, we were talking about that the triangle of self-obsession and the resentment towards stuff that had happened in the past. And I stopped taking accountability and looking at my part in a lot of situations that I was in where I was resenting people, resenting old coworkers, resenting people that I worked with, friends, family, etc. I stopped making amends to those people. I stopped going through step work with other people that I was helping, and I was stagnant in my program.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for a little bit. It was comfortable. I'm like, I got 2.5 years. I got 3 years. And then surgery hits out of nowhere. And I go out. And I can't get a day back for a year and 3 months. For a year and 3 months, I'm back. Now, I got married in that 3.5 years sober.
Oh, wow.
I like my life. I got a
The
job that I
promises
wanted.
were like
Real.
booming. Yeah.
And I was like, life is good. I got this hot wife. I got
Yeah.
a job over here. I'm making money. I paid off all my debt. Like, I'm doing good. And I lost all of that in probably 60 days.
Yeah.
60 days. Back in debt. 6 figures worth of debt. I'm running up to the Bronx. And my wife stuck around. Thank God. And things... It was just it went right back to the way it was prior to me having those 3.5 years.
Was your wife in the program?
No,
No?
she was from Finland.
Finland.
I met her in Turks and Caicos.
Oh, wow.
While sober, I had 1 year of sobriety. I went with my sponsor to Turks and Caicos. Met her in Turks and Caicos. She was living in Helsinki, Finland. I'm living in New York. We go one year long distance from Helsinki to New York City. And then she moved after a year. So I want to say about 2 years of sobriety is when she moved.
Is she a normie?
She's a normie.
Okay.
And she's the mother of my
Helsinki.
daughter. We're divorced now.
Oh,
Never
my
been there.
goodness.
Huh?
Wow.
Never been there.
Yeah,
Been
but we're-
everywhere.
No,
We're best
never
friends.
been there.
How crazy.
You been in Finland?
We're best friends
No,
now.
never.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's all because of sobriety.
Yeah, of course.
It's all sobriety.
I think that's what's fascinating about the way that our brains operate is like how easily things all of a sudden go from bad to amazing, and then we like to just teeter-totter and rest on our laurels and thinking like all is well when clearly all went
I did that.
gone.
I did.
So did I.
I did
It's
all
all
that.
the same.
All that.
Yeah.
9 years riding that wave.
A relapse 9 years, or you were out for 9 years?
No, I was sober for 9 years. Built a life beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't lose it all, but I lost a lot. I lost a wife. I lost a lot.
I had 3.5.
Everything that was important to me at the time was taken away from me. Now, and I struggled for 5 years to get back.
It took you 5 years to get back.
In and
after
out,
the 9.
in and out. I would get a year relapse. I would get 2 years relapse. Yeah,
It took you a year and 3 months?
Year and 3 months
to get
And-
back.
To get back.
It took me like 2.5 to get back. Rest on my laurels, same thing. You had 9 years and then went out. I had 3.5, went out. You had
3.5 went out
Okay.
for a year and 3 months.
And it's all basically kind of same scenario. Is like everyone is not spiritually fit. That's why we go out.
I had done steps 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Or
Yeah.
I did 1, 2, and 3, and
That's-
I rode
good, but-
3 all the way for fucking 9 years.
Till the wheels fell off.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I got sober. I worked all 12 steps, relapsed again, worked the steps, relapsed again, and then I took them on a good one. The cops, everybody on a good one.
Yeah.
And picked up 19 charges in 3 weeks, and yeah.
What was the big one? Like, what was the biggest one?
The biggest one was I had I had 3 big charges. That was a possession of trafficking of methamphetamines, which I wasn't. Sales and sales and transportation of methamphetamines, and then the bigger one was actually what do they call it? It's I took the cops on a high-speed chase in a Lamborghini.
Eluding and avoiding.
Felony evading the police.
It's
It's a big one. That's a mandatory prison sentence.
I mean, you didn't get away
No.
in the Lambo.
I did get away,
No.
but it was my Lambo.
So
and
they knew where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
and-
waiting for him. Like,
and I went home.
Hey, buddy.
I went home after I got away.
What year was this?
2016.
Okay.
No, 2015.
All right. So they had like all the technology to catch.
Yeah, I mean, they jammed my flux capacitor, forced me back to reality. You know, I had a flux capacitor in my Lamborghini. It was I was able to time travel in it on a really good meth-induced psychosis. So
insanity. So, like, he's not real. Get everyone that's listening. These things are not true.
what?
In his head, they
In his
are.
head they are. Yeah.
But
Come on.
not
I mean,
reality.
they had a flux capacitor jammer, and that thing, like I said, it jammed me right back into reality.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the best detox center, in at least the best one that I know in the state of California. It's 550 North Flower Street in Santa Ana. It's called the county jail.
I went there too, but it didn't get me sober. So that's why every time you say it's the best rehab facility, I'm like,
I said
"No,
detox center.
no." Oh,
Every detox center that I had been to prior, I ACA'd from. I left because I could. This one,
They wouldn't let you.
they wouldn't
Yeah.
let me out. I was forced to detox.
When you were saying the address, I'm like, I don't think I know that address.
You don't know that one?
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Anybody that's
Yeah.
in Orange that's in Orange County that's ever been arrested, they know 550 North Flower Street in Santa Ana. You know that?
No, never
address?
been.
You never been?
No, bro, never been.
Not even in the back door?
Visit.
You visited
Yeah,
somebody there?
I think I picked someone up there once.
Yeah.
My wife, maybe. Yeah, it was my wife actually.
Or was that in Newport Beach?
No, that was Marin. I was at 550 Flowers. She spent a couple days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What did
Yeah.
she do?
If
If you could share it.
Yeah, no worries. She had a pad. Her friend had a pad of.
Prescription?
Yeah,
Oh, the pad. She ganked the pad.
she didn't, but a friend did.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
She was going into. Yeah, and the police were there.
That's a crime.
That's a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the guy took the fall. The guy she was with, our buddy, it was his idea. So he said, "No, it's all me. I forced her to do it." So she's got out the next day or something. 2 days later.
That's wild.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
paper-
as I was sliding the crack up my ass in the parking lot, I'll never forget.
Oh, you were using
Oh yeah,
weren't
bro.
you?
I was smoking in the parking lot, and
Oh, wow.
then all of a sudden the fucking cops come rolling in. Oh shit! Took my pants down, started sliding in the fucking like they knew I was there.
Oh my god.
Big blue Hummer in the parking lot, only one. You know, fuck. It was
Did they come
no
fuck with you at all?
No, I just drove away.
Mess.
Yeah, just drove away silently. Oh fuck, Marin. She's fucked.
You boofed it and drove away.
Yeah, I boofed it and drove away. That was
my
it.
God.
I mean, bro.
Yeah.
Pipe?
Sorry,
No.
there's a lady in the room.
I thought you didn't.
No.
You didn't have a pipe.
No, well, I must have been using something. I think I used the plastic bottles. You know, so
Yeah.
it wasn't really a glass. I was in the plastic bottle thing, so it was like a Coke bottle or something.
The pipe went up too.
That's what I said. The
Hell
pipe
no.
too.
Hell
usually
no.
like crack pipes, they're broken, right?
Yeah.
Not like meth pipes. Meth-
Shards of glass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a crazy
could be
memory. I haven't
very
thought of that
bad.
in a while. Yeah.
Wow.
Memory, good old
Good one.
memory
Yeah,
lane.
it was a good one.
Don't cut your lips.
Yeah.
So you got sober after a year and
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
your
that's
wife
it- and that's
stuck
it?
around though for that year and 3 months.
Yeah, it was back and forth, back
Yeah.
and forth. There was one weekend. I'll just share this one. So this is the absurd obscenity that we think is a great idea
Yeah.
when we're fucked up. I was supposed to go to. There was a huge like. I don't remember. It was a big party, like a dress, like a.
Black tie.
Yeah, something like that. Where you kind of you dress up and what is it, masquerade?
Oh, okay.
Masquerade.
Yeah.
It's one of
Ball.
those.
Uh-huh.
It was a masquerade ball, and it was her two friends, and the husbands were going. And she texted me at like 3 p.m. that day. It was a Friday. She said, hey, one of the husbands is sick. The other one's not going to go. You're off the hook for tonight. You don't have to go if you don't want. I'm like, okay, great. She's like, but please don't get yourself into trouble. Now, this is she knows what I'm up to. So I was like, no, honey, listen, I'm going to go to a meeting tonight. I'm going to go to a meeting. She's like, all right, please do that. I'm like, all right, awesome. I swear to God, she goes with her girlfriends. I had every intention of going to the meeting that night. If you would have given me a lie detector, I would have passed. And I get a phone call from one of my buddies, and he's like, dude, I'm in Miami right now. I'm in New York City. He's like, I'm in Miami right now. He's like, there is a 9:30 flight out of JFK. You need to get on that flight, fly down, like, got a suite down here, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know what? This is my last hoorah. Like, she's not going to leave me. Like, she just won't leave me. I'm doing this. Fuck it. And I go. I wake up. It was insane. I wake up the next day at noon. I have like 100 missed calls from now my ex-wife, but my wife at the time. My parents, everyone's just blowing me up. And I had to get it on talk everyone off the ledge, like, you know, what's going on? She's asking me, is there someone else? This and that. And just the madness and the insanity. I get anxiety thinking about it.
Did you say, yeah, there's someone else? Her name is freaking opiates and cocaine. I don't know if you were doing cocaine, but that's what I was doing in Miami.
Yeah, of course.
Cocaine, alcohol,
ecstasy,
opiates.
Molly, whatever. Xanax. Yes. I did it all. And I said, no, like, I just went on a golf trip with the boys. Like, I had to clear my head. You know, I have a lot going on right now. And then I have the audacity to come back on Monday, not the next day.
Wow.
I mean, listen, I'm laughing because it's just so ridiculous, but it is just the self-obsession and lack of consequences. Well, it's just the audacity.
I mean, that's why it makes sense. Mental obsession, physical allergy, because this shit is real.
That's the stuff, though, that, like, I want. Like, you know, you've been saying, like, you know, if anybody is listening to this and they're in that is what brings us the shame, right? It's like, it's not the hurting of ourselves. It's not us hurting ourselves. We are very sensitive people. And when we hurt your wife, your dad, your mom, and everybody's there's so much shame that comes with that in the trying to get clean, right? And even after getting clean. And that's why I want to go back and tell people that the steps are so important. And they're in an order for a reason. And you can't stop at 3.
No.
Like, do them all, do them in order, and all of this shit goes away. Like, and then we become spiritually fit, but we got to continue to do that on a daily basis to stay spiritually fit, so we can be in places that
they're serving alcohol.
Or there's cocaine, or, you know,
or
I could walk in and do a intervention, and there could be meth and syringes and pipes, and
or how about this?
I'm good.
Being by yourself in a hotel room and there's a mini bar, and you're not even tripping.
Don't even think about the mini bar. Not even.
Like, that's where it's at. Because when we're by ourselves, that's when we get our, like, best ideas.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're often...
Kevin was on his way to a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, at least was thinking about going to a meeting in his mind. And
72 hours later.
The buddy said, yo, Kev.
Let's go.
I'm in Miami. I got a suite and a kilo of cocaine.
Let's roll. Miami.
So then you flew back home to New York on Monday.
Yeah, had to talk her off the ledge again, and
man,
poor me. I had to do it again, right? I am so grateful for that woman.
Yeah,
because right after that, she went to my family.
Yeah,
and gathered everyone up again, and they did an intervention, and I was at a low rock bottom. I'm probably 210 pounds now. I was probably like 160, 65. I wasn't doing well at all.
Yeah.
However, I was always showing up at work somehow, some way. My job was the one and only thing that I had left, and I kept justifying my usage with my job.
And they never noticed, huh?
Well, one time I left. I had to take a leave of absence, and They knew I was going.
Where were
away.
you at this point, at this time? And when you on your Miami trip?
I was at a startup ad tech company. I get sober 6.5 years ago. Probably 2 years into sobriety, I get a job at Google. And I land the job of my dreams. But sorry, just to kind of go back a little bit, the transition. I get interventioned. I don't go to rehab. And I go to meetings right away. I get a sponsor. This guy I kind of knew, but I knew I needed to switch up my sponsor from the last time I was sober. I needed to try something different. And I had an urge to use at 20 days sober this time. And I'll never forget it. I was walking with my wife at the time. We were leaving my apartment, getting on the elevator. And I said, honey, if we walk out that door, I'm going to get high. I want to get high right now. I want to get high. She said, well, what do they teach you in the meetings? What are you supposed to do? I appreciate your honesty, but I said, call my sponsor. She goes, get your sponsor's number out. Like, I needed her to hold me accountable. And I needed to tell someone. And it was the first time I actually made a phone call when I had the urge. It was the first time I actually did it. Shit didn't have to hit the fan. I took the action, took accountability of the situation, and called my sponsor. My sponsor picks up Sunday night, 7 p.m. He's sitting down with his family at dinner, 10 blocks away in Manhattan. It's like 5-10 minute drive away. And he's like, where are you? I'm at home. Go to the Starbucks on the corner, have your wife walk you down there and wait with you. I will be there in 15 minutes, and we're going to sit together. He comes, relieves my wife. He sits with me like 7 o'clock at night all the way until 1 o'clock in the morning. We went to the diner after it and waited for the obsession for that day to be lifted, and it was. Then the next day, he went with me to a meeting, sat in the meeting with me, made sure I got my hand up, said what was going on. I, to this day, have not had another urge since that day.
Nice.
Wow.
And I couldn't fathom, once I'm locked in and I make up that decision, this too shall pass, right?
Right.
I didn't understand that. I thought I had to act on that immediately and get high to relieve it. And I didn't have to do that. And things from there just started to take off for me. And I, went back to my home group, got, I got a commitment at my home group, started working. Well, once I went through the steps again, started working with others, living in, 9, 10, 11. I'm sorry, 10, 11, and 12. And I mean, today I ended up getting a life on life's terms. I got a divorce in sobriety about 2.5 years ago. And it was one of the hardest things I ever had to deal with. Not to go too much into detail, but a lot of it had to do with my prior usage. And we ended up having a child together. She's 5 today. Most amazing person in the world. We have 50-50 custody. We live 15 minutes from one another down in Florida, West Palm Beach area. Her mom has a boyfriend. And June, July, me, the boyfriend, and Krista, my ex, went to my daughter's recital together.
Wow.
Like, the ego, the jealousy, the how dare he act as a father figure to my daughter, that's another positive male role model in my daughter's life that she probably needs in today's day and age.
Right.
And it shifted my thinking slowly.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, as long as you're there and present, nothing replaces real daddy.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You got a lot of similarities to you, man. I got divorced in sobriety as well. And we had a son together. And I was just with my current wife, my ex-wife, her husband, and my son, all at the Baylor family weekend at Baylor University because my son is a freshman. And because we co-parented well, and we never said anything bad about each other to our child, he has I don't want to get emotional about it, but I'm proud, man. Like I'm proud. I'm a proud dad that he turned out the way he did, and he is literally living his dream. It was so nice, and he was so happy, to have both of his parents there and
together, same place, in the same area.
He loves his he loves his stepdad. He loves his stepmom.
She's a good woman.
Which one, Kelly?
Your wife. Your ex. Both.
Yeah,
both are.
Yeah,
great.
You better say both.
Both are great. I don't know Donna that well.
Yeah,
I know Kelly a little more because I've been here. But what a mother.
Yeah.
You can't ask for better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had fun, man. I mean, we were literally out to dinner. His girlfriend goes to the school, so her parents were there.
That's awesome.
It was
fucking
good times, man. And I'm only saying this because it's so similar to your story, and this is shit that you get to look forward to, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of humility that goes into what you just talked about, teaming up with, the other parent and, putting the ego aside and practicing humility. It was one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life.
Yeah. I feel you. She didn't, my ex-wife didn't get a boyfriend until Cooper was
16.
Oh yeah,
16.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's awesome.
So I didn't have that part.
You're lucky.
But I'm telling you, I used to think about it when my son was little, and I was like, that
Shit.
bitch brings some dude
Gonna
home.
knock him out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he just says anything to my son.
Yeah. I mean, I said those things.
Yeah.
So we're in line. But they never happen. I'm all talk. It never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Good stuff.
Yeah. And so I moved down to Florida 3 years ago from New York.
Mm-hmm.
We live 15 minutes from one another. Google allowed everyone to work from home during COVID.
Oh, right.
And then in the beginning of 2024, they said everyone has to come back into the office. And this was a tough decision. It was move back to New York City.
Oh, right.
Travel back to New York to see my daughter because she's not leaving. She loves it. And I get it. My little one is in kindergarten now.
Yeah.
Her mom has a boyfriend. Like she has established a life down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to resign from Google. I walked away from it. I'm a dad first. And I started my own podcast, a mental health podcast called, am I allowed to plug it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Rise Above with Kevin Lanning.
Nice.
Yeah, plug. We'll just mark it so we can block it out later.
We're gonna bleep it.
Yeah, mark it. Make them feel good right now.
They're terrible.
Make a short reel out of that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That actually would make a really good reel, a funny one.
Yeah. But I've decided to take a gamble on myself, and I can do that today because I'm sober. And it's been such an amazing journey, helping people. I will say, you want your content to do well, but it's like, well, what's your primary purpose is to help someone. And when you put that primary purpose, helping someone, ahead of it being a successful podcast, you have more success going the other way.
For sure. And indirectly I guess I could only speak for myself, but since I joined with these guys and became a part of what we're doing here, exactly, is it makes me super on my own personal program. So I haven't been this dialed with my own recovery for a very long time for multiple reasons that I tell myself, because whatever, traveling, road, work, da-da-da-da. Well, if I'm sitting here talking with individuals like yourself or talking about the fentanyl epidemic and what brought me into this studio, then I would be a fraud if I wasn't working and having to check in with my sponsor and sponsoring other women. So in a indirect way, it has completely shifted and changed my entire sobriety journey myself by bringing me closer to making sure that I'm spiritually fit every single day because of, like you said, you starting this podcast that are bringing in individuals with similar battles, whether it's addiction, mental health, or anything that they had to kind of walk through themselves, is indirectly having a personal effect on yourself as well, because it would be insane if it didn't. So it's kind of I think a win-win on multiple levels, because it's like passion, purpose, and really life or death.
Being the fraud that you talked about, if you're going to come in here and speak what your experience, right, you still have to be living that.
Right.
And yeah, the fraud thing is, listen, I'm not perfect. I would, miss a meeting one week and I'm sitting I'm on the podcast talking about, meeting attendance, and I'm like, I got to go do that. Yeah.
I mean, we all do the same thing, because it even says it in our book. We practice these principles in all our affairs, but like, it's practice, not perfect. Like,
we don't perfect these principles.
Yeah. It's not, no one's going to hit perfection. It's just wanting to maintain that accountability, because we all have definitely skeetered and rested on our laurels, and what happened? Crash and burn. And now with what's out there today, it's not crash and burn and hope we make it back. It's no, life or death. Because if you go out, if he goes out, if you go out, if you go out,
well, for
I wouldn't roll the dice, because you coming back in,
the likelihood is I won't
zero.
Make it back.
No, because you'll die.
And I know that
That's
now.
where
like,
it's
I
at.
truly know that, because my drug of choice is not opiates, but my drug of choice is methamphetamines in a syringe. And when I get too high, I need some Xanax, Valium, any benzodiazepine, which I would buy off the street, or a shot of heroin. And we all know what those all are today. None of those are the drugs that I just said. They're all fentanyl.
Yes.
It says it right on the wall right behind you. Fentanyl.
And I wouldn't make it back.
No one would, because it's in everything now. And that's what's scary.
And knowing that, like, and there are times in my mind where, like, just the thought of, what would happen if I relapse? I literally, all of the shit that pops up, a lot of times these two fools pop up in my head, and then I'm like, the rest of my, because I own treatment centers. I had this podcast. Could you imagine they had the two of them? Like, in my mind, I'm like, could you imagine the two of them having to come on this podcast and tell everybody that I fucking relapsed? Like, that in of itself is a big deterrent for me, like a huge deterrent. I'm like,
I was about to say something stupid. Make for good talk, though.
say the stupid thing.
I said it.
Made
for a good talk. Made for a good podcast.
Make
for a great fucking return.
It would really give you some fucking views,
Right?
likes, and comments.
Yeah,
but they
bro.
would be everything that we don't want.
Exactly.
Shave my head, give me some tattoos on my arm, and I'll be you.
And you're in.
I'll just plug right in.
Yeah, you're in.
Youthful.
Yep.
So you started your podcast in
5 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's relatively new. I started it 5 months ago. We're going to 2 episodes a week, actually, next week.
Nice.
Good.
So I have one guest every week to share their story of adversity, to help educate people on addiction, mental health in general, trauma, etc., all the above, and just let people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
It's very important, because when I was going through my battle with mental health, addiction, I thought I was alone. Nobody could relate. No one could understand what I was going through. And that's what
Didn't
kept
even
me.
know help was available.
Right.
Didn't even know.
And full circle, when I was saying my mom, my cousin who went through, she was a little knowledgeable.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, you need to go to. And that's how I figured it out.
Which makes sense, because she obviously had a close individual, it being her sister, having to walk through that. So she was able to have the knowledge of what to do in cases like dealing with a child that is suffering with addiction or alcoholism or mental health. She knew what to do, where it starts there. Knowledge, being able to have the resources, being able to know that treatment's available. You are definitely not alone. There are many, many of us that struggle with the same exact thing. So it's finding the right place, the right treatment facility to go and start your journey for a much better life, for sure.
One more thing I want to add to, and this is very important. Like, we see doctors, in terms of diagnosis on other mental health fronts, I was undiagnosed ADHD. up until this time sober, not the first 3.5 years. 6.5 years ago, I went and saw a specialist and I was tested, and I tested very high. I had no idea that I was undiagnosed for that long. I had no idea what it was. And that is another reason I want to create awareness around different mental health matters that are relevant today, so people can identify.
Yeah,
and I'm self-medicating.
I so agree with you, because the truth is, and this is what we have believed for my entire journey in working in the treatment industry, is that, you know, addiction is merely just a symptom of the underlying psychological issue, right? It's just a symptom. And for you, the symptom, your addiction, you were self-medicating your ADHD, which is really funny because it's quite the opposite medication that you would need for.
Oh yeah, I know.
For ADHD,
I was medicating
literally
correctly.
the opposite. I am
You were
curious.
wrong.
I am curious though. Does opiates wake you up?
That's a great question. So anytime when a normie does Oxycontin, they're like, oh, I just pass out. It's terrible. I want to throw up, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When I took Oxycontin, I will clean your house.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I just did a line of fucking meth.
I will run around the street. Let's run for president. I could do it all. Like opiates just
did it hit you?
When I take ADHD medication,
You slow the fuck down.
I could fall asleep on the couch over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Crazy.
But that is also it goes to show too, like our body chemistry is very different. Like how whether it's drugs or actual prescription medication will affect each person differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's also kind of fascinating and not talked a lot about, because usually people will immediately want to go to a doctor to get prescribed something to feel better, whether it's an antidepressant or whatnot, and then they think that it's a one size fits all, and it's really not.
No. And the thing with psychiatry, some of it is trial and error.
For sure.
I know.
For
I
sure.
know there's other psychiatrists that we have on, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
they,
that's
they
true.
do other
It is.
stuff.
Just
But
3 or 4 drugs.
there
they
are
don't-
still
they don't
Yeah.
interact.
there are some there's a lot
Even
of
with
trial.
antidepressants,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah,
And
they're
every-
supposed to like
cyclically on off.
well, and start you with this one, and
Yeah.
then see how you're doing, and have you check back in, tell them the
Start with
truth,
the one
and
that's
then
making them the
say
most money.
Well,
that happens, but that's a whole
yeah.
different
That's a whole-
podcast. We
and-
could
yeah.
go. We could.
Yeah.
We
All
could
right.
go into that one.
I
For
I want
a
to know,
while.
how do your parents feel now? Because you have 6.5 years, you now completely changed the trajectory of your career
Yeah.
and going in a different avenue. So, what are their thoughts?
Yeah, so things really started to amend with them once I made amends to them. The pawn shop that we were talking about before,
Yeah.
I pawn jewelry.
Yeah.
It's messed up. And
Yeah.
those were things I was very just shameful about.
Yeah.
And I had to face it. And that's when the healing started to begin. And I just had to put my head down and you know, follow through with my sobriety and take responsibility. My relationship today is amazing. My daughter is the only girl in the entire family. Both of my brothers have all boys.
Oh, wow.
And it is the most amazing experience watching my parents with my daughter.
Yeah.
And they trust me with anything now. They believe in me. They turn to me for advice. It's truly amazing. It's this relationship it should have been, you know, for a very long time. But with the podcast, they're old school, my parents, and you know, 70 years old. They don't understand. Oh, your job is a podcast? Like, you know,
Yeah.
you bum. Like, what do you? No, but then they started to listen and hear the message and what I'm doing, and they, you know, they're proud. They're very proud. But most importantly, I think it's what you said before about just hold you accountable as well with your sobriety, and it's not just a job. It's and they see that and they recognize that.
Yeah.
So, and they support anything that with sobriety and whatnot.
Yeah, because they want their son to be happy and healthy.
Exactly.
We don't want our listeners to know the answer to this question, but since you worked at Google,
Go ahead.
we want to know, what is the algorithm for YouTube? I'm just playing.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at your YouTube channel. I could help you.
There you go.
Thumbnails.
All you have to do is
Keywords. SEO. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
What else? This was really good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're in the perfect career shift because you're taking everything that you learned along the way, especially previously coming from Google. You already have a one-up in the social media to ads to marketing, because that's what you worked in and what your kind of career kind of navigated you to this point now. And then it's a topic that is clearly your own experience. So I feel you're ahead of the game from just starting to go and build a new business. You've always had the entrepreneur spirit. Clearly you hustled books for Pete's sake and made over 6 figures. So, I mean, it's obviously in you,
I want to also say, and I'm not saying this is a flex to brag, but I make financial amends on them, and that was a huge changer for me as well.
Yeah.
On a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Financial amends is some shit that I didn't want to do for a very long time, and I didn't do it during the 3.5 years of sobriety because I was so
That's actually a great point to bring up, because I've seen people have to do a lot of that throughout the steps because of past certain situations that we get ourselves into. And it's a good point to bring up. That is part of kind of the journey of kind of going back and
it sucks.
Revisiting. Yeah.
It's called cleaning up the wreckage.
Yeah.
Cleaning up your side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
There was a friend that I ripped off in a dice game like 20 years prior. And I had to go back. I'm still friends with him. I had to go back and be like, dude, here's $50. I ripped you off. He's like, what?
Yeah, I bet he was like, what? I had no idea.
But he was like, I'll fucking take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. No, that's awesome.
Nice.
So,
amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
guys. And thank you guys for doing what you guys do and the cause. And you're helping a lot of people. And I have nothing but respect for it. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Course.
Yeah.